and welcome to another episode of Sarah's Stage and Screen Scene. And I'm picking up with the lovely, delightful, ridiculous series and Just Like That. So we're on to episode 10 entitled The Last Supper Appetizer. That right? Yeah, as always, I'm not going to be able to do scene by scene because I've watched it once. I haven't taken notes. I watched it in bed. In order for me to take notes or remember every single scene, it means I have to watch a second time, and I just can't do it. I just like to review it just for the sort of, well, a lot of people are doing it on YouTube, and it's always quite fun to listen to. That's the only reason I still watch it, because the reviews make me laugh. Um, so I'll just go with what I remember and the big plot points. The episode starts off with Carrie and Aiden in Coney Island. Carrie mentioned she's never been there in the whole 25, 21, whatever year she's lived in New York, and they have a little back and forth. And Aiden says, "Oh, you're old." So that's a bit of a jump back to the first series where we had to keep being reminded how old everyone was. They even have frigging grey hair and everything. Luckily, they've stopped that now. So they're there to see Steve's new oyster and hot dog stand, just overlooking the prom. So this is where we do get a reunion with Aiden and Steve, but it seems that they've been been in contact anyway, because Aiden has invested in this new venture. So it's nice to see, and we see that Steve's not the victim. He's moving on from Miranda. Everything's good, all good. Justice for Steve. He then calls Carrie old again, and then Carrie speaks with Steve about the idea for it. He says he used to come to Coney Island as a kid, and then when things were bad with Miranda, he'd come and just sit out and look over into the water, and then he'd see this place needing a fix up. But what does make me laugh about this is if Aiden's invested in it, does that mean Aiden and Steve have still been in touch all these years? And if so, surely, when Carrie wasn't sure if she still had his email, surely she would have done. There would have been, was being able to get some contact off Steve, but maybe she didn't want to because of Miranda. Charlotte's storyline is she's working at the gallery and she is selling a piece of art to Sam Smith. And she says to them, "Oh, this piece of art, he puts his identity in his art, just like you." So again, we're getting a lot of gender identity, shoved down our faces, which comes again later. That's all fine. You know, we don't want transphobia. We want, acceptance and everything, but it's getting rammed right down our throats. I don't like Sam Smith. I've never liked their music from when they were around from the beginning. And she gets a phone call from Brock, and Brock is all like, "Oh, Mom, I've left my notebook at home and I've got a presentation and I'm going to fail." And again, this is just like Charlotte's children are just the worst. The kids in this program are awful. They run riot around the adults. So she's like, "No, I am at work." And then she rings Harry saying, "Harry, you've got to go and get the book." And she proper, gives it loads to Harry. And Harry's just like, you know, gets pushed around by her quite a bit. But really, Rock's responsibility, they're what, 13, 14 now. So they should go and get the book themselves or fail the assignments, whatever. We've all been there where we've all messed up, Elaine. Don't have your parents running around after you like a blue horse fly. Anyway, so later on, Charlotte sells this piece to Sam Smith, and all her much younger co-workers are all like, "Yay, it's, we go out when someone does a big sale." Charlotte's like, "Oh, I can't, I've got family, husbands, kids." And in the end, she gives in and she gets absolutely rat-arsed drunk. And they're trying to ring her, and she throws She throws her phone into a drink, and then when she comes home towards the end, she proper gives it to them like, I'm more than a mother and a husband to you. I'm a person. I'm a woman. Which is quite funny because all the way through Sex and the City, Charlotte was quite a career girl and all she wanted was to get married and have kids. Now she's got them. Yeah, can't win, can you? So yeah, she goes on with the over acting, and I don't watch the Writers' Room podcast or listen to it, sorry, because I can't. It just annoys me. But someone in another podcast or review did pay a little bit of a clip where they said they kept asking Kristen Davis for more, give more. And I've noticed like all through this series, the actors being very like, oh yes, 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 and he messaged you on Valentine's Day, you what big eyes and thingy. So I've got a feeling it's not a choice by Kristen Davis to overact. I have a feeling that she's getting directed that way. But the best part of this scene was when she goes into the bedroom, she slams the door, then Richard Burton winds at the door and she opens it and says, "Hi, baby." And he comes in, and that's exactly what I'm like with my pets. No matter what mood I'm in, they get the all, oh, my baby attention. So Miranda is with Naya in Naya's apartment, of course, because Naya literally goes nowhere else. She has no storyline except for getting over her husband and having sex all the time. But in this one, she gets the invite for her ex-husband's baby shower. I mean, what a cheek. And he's registered for gifts. Well, they've registered for gifts, him and his new missus. And so she decides the ultimate, in your face would be to buy the most expensive stroller to show that she's got unlimited disposable income. So that's how she does it. And then she says to Miranda, oh, I wish I could, just cut them off like you do. You've said cold turkey is your spirit animal. And Miranda looks a little bit offended by this. I don't know why, because that's never offended Miranda. Miranda's always like, she tried to be friends with Steve a few times, and he always ends up getting back together. So we'll go to Lisa. So Lisa's having lunch with the three girls. She makes up the fourth person this time. So since we have no Samantha, all the other characters just rotate to make up this fourth person. They can't just have three of them, or they can't have a regular fourth. I think they were hoping to put Seema there as the new Samantha, but it's not working. So basically, so Charlotte announces that Lisa's documentary's been picked up by, is it Netflix or some streamer anyway, as an 8-part documentary. And then they're walking and talking a bit later on, and Charlotte's so excited for her, saying, I'm going to tell everyone. But Lisa is like, please don't. And then she tells her that she's pregnant. And then we have a scene a bit later on where she's with, I always forget her husband's name when I'm doing this. I do know it, but I just forget it. Probably because they've not given much of a character. He just, gives in to her all the time. And she's tossing and turning in bed, and then she says, why didn't you have that vasectomy 8 years ago? I mean, she only just realised this. I mean, seriously, 8 years ago? Did she know he'd not have it? Has he only just told her? Or did she know anyway and she's only just made it a big deal? Because it's the responsibility of both of them. And they probably didn't think they were going to get pregnant. And then he said that he thought they might have another one. So he basically says if she wants to do something, he supports her. And then she, says, well, thank you for that, for the understanding and support. Fortunately, later in the episode, she said she's bleeding and he's like comes to call the ambulance and she says, I think it's too late. She knows her body. That is quite sad. That's a sad storyline. It would have been more effective if, again, there's too many characters and we're not getting much. We're not getting to know them. And things are just happening in quick succession. And we're just like, we don't learn to care about you, even though this storyline, is something to care about. And that brings me to Seema, So she's having sex with her director boyfriend, and they completely recycled a Samantha storyline. Remember Samantha, after she'd taken the ecstasy, she's in bed with Richards and she says, I love you, but he doesn't reciprocate. Well, this happens with Seema, except he does reciprocate. Come on, get a new storyline. She's not Samantha. And so she's speaking to Carrie, and Carrie says, I'm now in the position where you should embrace love. But last week they were only just getting together. Now this week they're in love. The timeline in this show is just completely ridiculous. And you just don't know where you are with all these characters 1 minute to the next. So that's Seema. We don't see any more of Steve, which is disappointing, but it's nice to see, that he is, doing well. So Che. So we see Che in the vet's office again, and one of the senior vets keeps referring to them as she, and she's pointing out it's they, it's they, it's they, how long I have to keep reminding them. Um, Fast forward to Carrie and Aiden. But there is a scene with Carrie and the neighbour again. I forgot her name. She has sold her apartment to this neighbour, and the kitten's in there again. How cute! Carrie says she thinks the kitten's hers now. I don't know whether Carrie's having it or whether the neighbour is. But that's a cute little scene purely because the kitten's there. The rest of it, I couldn't give a toss what was going on, to be fair. I don't understand how this girl is affording to buy this apartment when, she's had her jewellery stolen. Miranda still needs an apartment, can probably afford it. Miranda is working at an internship where she's now taken over the manager's role, and then the manager comes back after only 5 weeks of maternity leave, saying she needed to get back. I mean, come on. And then later on, they go to the UN, and this other woman, she's saying to Miranda how impressed she was, and you don't know whether they're flirting. We don't know. We don't know what Miranda's sexuality is at this point. I don't think the writers know what Miranda's sexuality is at this point. They don't know which way to go. But speaking of her sexuality, so Carrie and Aiden are going to Che's stand-up, which they are performing to impress this Toby character who came and spoke to them in the vet the other week. And then Miranda turns up saying she doesn't want to keep cutting exes off, and like she did with Skipper. Remember Skipper? That's a blast from the past, isn't it? I always felt like he was a practice run for Steve. So we get in there, Toby turns up, and then Che, the writers have been trying to get us to like them, but Che is still a vile and horrible human being. Okay, yes, stand-ups do use their own lives in their acts, and often, the person involved usually knows, understands, it's usually, their other half. A lot of comics use their partners, and it's quite funny, and there's an element of affection in there. I love The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. Eventually, Joel got used to that with Midge. I will be reviewing The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, by the way. But everything she puts out there is about Miranda not understanding who she was, whether she was straight, gay, bi. She went through all the LGBTQ plus thing, and she says but she was experimental. She brought 4 people into our bed, me, her, a husband and a son. That Che has got a cheek because she brought her ex-friggin' husband into their bed. So, typical narcissist there, gaslighting it to someone else. The whole thing about this is Miranda's clearly upset, and Carrie just sits there looking uncomfortable, so Aiden doesn't know where to put his face. And then Miranda leaves, Che spots her and runs out, but Carrie doesn't even try and follow her and comfort her. It's her best friend for years and years. If that was my best friend, I'd be straight after them. And so they have a whole, like, to do on the street, and Che's just not taking her responsibility. She's like, that's what comics do. Miranda is clearly mortified. And and then Che goes off with Toby. And then another scene, Carrie speaking to Miranda saying she's gonna be inviting Che and Steve to her I thought this was going to be a meal to say goodbye to her apartment, but apparently she won this as a competition. No, I missed that. It's only because I heard it on another review, because obviously, again, this show, I just take things in, don't take some things in. And she's like, look, you need to like put it aside for this day. But Carrie's only known Che 5 minutes. She wasn't a boss too long. She told us to get a pussy up in the first series, which is gross. And if a man had said that to her, there'd have been murder. And I think she could have, just left out Che for this one. Steve, I understand because they've known him for years, and if Aidan does eventually turn up, he's still not turning up at this point, but he knows Aidan. But obviously, there's Carrie being a great friend, not. And then there's a scene where Aidan's speaking to Carrie about not going in the apartments, and he says the truth is that I thought I'd get mad at you over again, but I take responsibility because I tried to push you, I tried to pin you down, and that's true. We tried to push her into a marriage, obviously, because she treated him bad. She cheated on him and everything, and she did screw him over twice. But to counteract that, he tried to really, really sort of like push her into things. So he took some responsibility. So they've met in the middle, and so everything's looking great. Then they're lying in bed in a hotel talking about their new apartment when Aidan gets a phone call from Kathy, his ex-wife. Now, when this first happened, I thought there was another side to Kathy. They haven't shown us that she was going to be a bit sly and, trying to manipulate things, and there was not really anything wrong with Wyatt the son, but apparently Wyatt had like stormed out the house, got hold of Aidan's truck or tractor, and gone right into a shed or something, and he broken something. So Aidan flies straight out there. And then fast forward to the end when Aidan rings Carrie and says, oh, it's not just like he's got two broken legs, got a broken collarbone. He was trying to get to me, Carrie, and he just has the biggest meltdown ever. Sorry. When I mentioned overacting, some people liked this performance. I couldn't stop laughing. I'm so sorry. I should have been there, Carrie. I should have been there, Carrie. That's why I'm not an actress. This is why I sit there as myself and, do reviews and podcasts. And then Carrie hangs up and just like, for the first time, I was worried. So it leaves it on a bit of a cliffhanger. Is it going to end again? Now, only for the fact I've seen the trailer for next week, and you do see Aidan back in it, throwing rocks at a window like he did in season 4. And you see him saying, oh, for the whole past 20 odd years, all I had to think about was you. So I think it does all come good. But again, as I've said, since I've started doing my reviews, these last few episodes of And Just Like That have had elements of the original Sex and the City, but they're still really bad writing. They're still really bad timelines and continuity. The characters just don't mean anything. We're not engaged with them enough. Miranda's still someone else, who doesn't know who she is. Che is still, despite them trying to like win us over with animals, and animals will always win with me, they are still the most disgusting. If you want to bring a non-binary person into this, bring them in and don't force them. Bring them in naturally, make them likeable. I couldn't care what Che identifies as. They are absolutely horrible character. Make them a decent character and I'll properly root for them. But then, so this is the penultimate episode, and so next week is the final one. Whether we'll have a series 3, I don't know. I will watch it purely just to review and to listen to the reviews. But again, thank you for watching. And if you enjoyed this, again, as always, please subscribe to my channel, like my videos, leave me a little comment if you would, and maybe ring that bell so the notifications on, and could you share it with some of your friends as well, please? As I said, I'm reviewing everything. Thank you. Bye.